AITA for taking back a stroller from my brother after he took it without asking and giving it to a friend instead. Right, so I, 28 male, have always had a somewhat strained relationship with my older brother, 35 male. He was, to put it bluntly, rather cruel to me throughout our childhood. He bullied me quite relentlessly until he left home after finishing school. We were raised by a single mom who was doing her absolute best to keep things afloat, and I never told her what was going on at the time because I didn't want to add to her burdens. These days, I'm married with a young son and a stable job. My brother, on the other hand, has fallen on hard times, mostly due to a long-standing gambling problem that's left him in serious financial trouble. A few years ago, he attempted to reconnect and offer something of an apology, but it felt rather performative, if I'm honest. I've kept things civil but distant. Now, to the heart of the matter. Last month, whilst I was at work, my brother came to my home and took my son's old stroller without so much as a message. It's a rather expensive bit of kit, still in excellent condition, and I had already promised it to one of my closest friends, whose wife is expecting their first child. I'd told him weeks in advance that it was his, and he was genuinely touched. When I confronted my brother about it, he was completely dismissive. He said something like, "I'm your brother, that's your nephew. Why are you helping them over your own family?" As though that somehow settled the matter. Frankly, I found the entitlement staggering. So, last week, I drove over to his flat while he was out and had a word with his wife who, to her credit, was polite but clearly upset. She said their son had grown used to the stroller and they simply couldn't afford another. I told her I sympathized, but it had been promised to someone else and, ultimately, it had never been theirs to begin with. I took it back and delivered it to my friend, just as I'd said I would. Later that day, my brother rang me in a fury, accusing me of being heartless and disloyal, and said I'd stolen from a baby and was a disgrace to the family. I've since blocked him. My wife fully supports my decision. My mom hasn't said anything either way. A couple of mutual acquaintances, however, reckon I was too harsh, and that since I can afford to be generous, I should have just let them keep it. So, AITA for taking the pram back and giving it to the person I'd promised it to, instead of letting my brother keep it after he took it without asking. ETA. To those suggesting this story is fake because you can't fathom how my brother could have just walked in and taken the pram, as if I'd handed him a spare key, have you considered the rather obvious possibility that my wife was at home at the time, and he simply lied to her, claiming I'd already said yes? Yeah, that's what happened. What actually happened was this. He came over while I was at work and had a chat with my wife. He said he was going to take the pram, and she asked him something along the lines of, "Have you spoken to my husband about this?" He told her yes, that I'd already given him the go-ahead. So naturally, she assumed it was all sorted and didn't question it. She didn't think for a second that he might be lying. So he did take it without my permission. My wife fully supports my decision. My mom hasn't said anything either way. A couple of mutual acquaintances, however, reckon I was too harsh, and that since I can afford to be generous, I should have just let them keep it. So, AITA for taking the pram back and giving it to the person I'd promised it to, instead of letting my brother keep it after he took it without asking. 48. Male husband says to me, 30. Female, he can't cope with my period. My immediate answer to him was, don't. He looked baffled as it seems he was ready to go into details. A little backstory. Last month I had the flu, my period, and a UTI, 2 antibiotics, all at the same 4-day span. It was exhausting and I was bedridden. I didn't ask him for anything. At the time we were staying at a 5-star all-inclusive resort, part of a 2-week holiday, and he was spending most of his time with our son. I don't ask him to do anything for me during my period, but he seems to dislike me expressing any human needs. I said to him he lacks empathy for me and doesn't view me as a human. He did not deny. How would other women out there respond if their man said this to them, or made them feel like their monthly period is too much to handle? AITA for telling my best friend I understood why his fiancée is so disappointed that he proposed to her at the gym. I, 27 female, Was excited when my best friend, 27 male, told me he had proposed to his girlfriend, 29 female. He said he had the proposal on video. I was so confused when the video started out in woman's gym. When I saw his girlfriend on an exercise machine in the video, I had a bad feeling. She looked so shocked and she said yes. She only looked happy for 2 minutes and the rest of the time she gave an insincere smile. My best friend expressed frustration that his fiancée had confessed she wasn't happy with the proposal after he asked her why she looked so sad. He was venting to me and asked me how I feel if a guy proposed to me while I was at the gym. I guess he really expected me to agree with him, but I said I would hate it. I said I don't want to be proposed to when I'm sweaty and stinky at the gym. I basically explained to him that I understood why she was disappointed. My best friend called me shallow and a bad friend. AITA. My boyfriend is mad at me for ending my ectopic pregnancy. I'm 28, female, been with my boyfriend, 23, male, for 3 years. We recently found out that I'm pregnant, but when we went to my doctor, he discovered the pregnancy was tubal. When he said we had to end it, my boyfriend got very upset. My doctor tried to explain to him what could happen, but my boyfriend just wouldn't listen. When he left to get everything to begin the procedure, my boyfriend said, "Aren't you even going to wait a day so we can talk about this first? Don't I have any say in this?" When they came back in, my boyfriend said he couldn't stay and watch this. I thought he left the room, but after the procedure, I saw that he actually left. I had no way home. I texted him and asked where he was, and he said, "You made this decision without me, so you can find a way home without me." When I finally got home, he was just sitting on the couch playing video games. Every time I try to talk about it, he says he doesn't want to hear the medical side of it, and these days there's ways to save every pregnancy. He just won't listen. He says he should have waited to see if my body rejected the pregnancy on its own. AITA for calling my husband an idiot because he keeps saying that I'm allowing my pregnancy rhinitis to ruin everything. I, 25 female, am pregnant, and I have pregnancy rhinitis. It feels like I have a permanent head cold. Yesterday, my husband, 27 male, wanted to hang out with me. He tried to get me to play video games. I played, but I wasn't very enthusiastic. He tried to talk to me, but I was so congested. He got frustrated with me and he repeated that I'm allowing my pregnancy rhinitis to ruin everything. I called him an idiot, and I told him he can only criticize my attitude when he goes through pregnancy. He called me a big jerk. AITA